I hope you win your next show, and I got egg all over my face. And I tell you what, I am rooting for you.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the Persian Wolf, Hadi Choopan, and his latest physique update. So the man is now firing all the cylinders, and this is gonna continue all the way till October, till this year's Miss Olympia, when he steps back on the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world for 7th consecutive time in his career. So Hadi Choopan and his statistics, they are enough, especially at the Olympia, to put him in the Hall of Fame. The lowest Hadi Choopan has ever placed, that was fourth at the Olympia back in 2020, the year Big Ramy won, and the year Phil Heath made his comeback. He has one Olympia title. He has 2 runner-up placings in 2023 and in 2024. And with the way things are going right now, Hadi Choopan is most likely gonna be in the top 3, fighting for the title once again this year. In fact, this is the year where Hadi Choopan is probably gonna be really dangerous, as he took the whole year off, unlike last year, when he competed at the Arnold, and this time, he's just focusing on one show, the Olympia. So the interesting thing is that Hadi Choopan is still with Evogen Nutrition, the same supplement company that Hani Rambod owns. And there is a big unanswered question, even to this date, on who is gonna coach Hadi Choopan for this year. And it has been 5 months since the Olympia last year. So I don't think Hadi will be looking to get bigger for this year, simply because Derek Lansford, he just beat Samson Dauda, who was 60 pounds heavier than Derek, based on superior conditioning. And for a guy like Hadi Choopan, who doesn't have the same aesthetics as Derek, he has to be more careful on how much mass he can put on before there is that risk of him getting more blocky or blowing out his waistline. Because the thing is, if that ever happens, that is gonna be disastrous for a guy like Hadi Choopan. Nobody can outcondition Hadi, especially if he's on. So cannot wait to see him at this year's Miss Olympia stage. And he will be extremely confident that the judges kept conditioning the top priority at this past Arnold. So it might be the same case at the Olympia as well, as long as the judges do not keep on changing the goalpost. So Hostel just dropped some Sherpa-lined zip-up hoodies and forced hooded jackets. So do check them out and use the code FAZI10 to get 10% extra discount. Next up, we have an update from Behrooz Tabani, another Iranian. So the prep for this 2025 season, that is now in full swing. And Behrooz and his coach Milos Arsev, they are extremely confident to bring an even better version than what we saw at Italy Pro, or especially at Dubai Pro last year, where he was able to beat William Bonac and Nathan Diasha. Now he probably would have won in Spain as well against William Bonac, as that show was just too close to call. So Behrooz is well on his way to stack up more pro wins every year, especially this year. So the most important show for Behrooz Tabani, that is gonna be Dubai Pro. And that is simply based on the massive amount of prize money they are giving to the first place finisher, especially in the men's open class. And that is $140,000. And that is a number which is gonna attract many big names, many other top competitors. Hopefully a guy like Martin Fitzwater is also gonna show up there, because until Behrooz Tabani, he gets his visa to the US to compete at the Olympia. This is like the Olympia for Behrooz Tabani. He gets to stand next to some of the very best in the world and prove that the man is a top 6 Olympian, irrespective of the depth of the lineup. And it has already been established that he isn't just an overhyped guy by Milos Sarcev. His physique legit has changed so much over the last 3 years, and the quads, which were once his biggest weakness, they just aren't his weak point anymore.
Place anywhere but 8th place, and we'll use that as, I see he puts that in his hashtags now. So listen, he does have a sense of humor. He can take it. He's a big boy, just like he said, right? That's fine.
So just as everyone is covering Bob's 8th place comment about the mutant Nick Walker, his latest comment, which is a very positive one, that should also be covered. And let's hope that this is the final one from each side. But things aren't getting any better for Bob Ciccarello, as illustrated by Sean Calrida's comment over this situation. So, if more and more of these top guys, they get behind Nick Walker, which they will, that will create more problems for a guy like Bob Ciccarello, and possibly for Sean Ray as well. So what's the positive gesture shown here by Bob? He offered Nick Walker a steak meal after this year's Pittsburgh Pro. If Nick Walker is able to come out on top, and squash this beef once and for all, so that both parties can move on and learn to respect each other's opinions.
So for Nick Walker out there, right? Listen, take your bad self, and listen. I hope you win your next show. And I got egg all over my face. And I tell you what, I am rooting for you, Sean. As I know, and I know you're especially rooting for him to prove me wrong and not be 8th place at the Olympia. I'm rooting for you, bro.
So that 8th place comment, that was probably said in the heat of the moment. Because anyone with an eye for bodybuilding, they know that Nick Walker, especially the one that we are all seeing right now, 8 weeks out of this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro, it's a very dangerous bodybuilder right there. Because he's going back to his roots. He's going back to being the freak. The major factor that made him win the Arnold back in 2021, as well as a top 3 finish at the Olympia. And that is a Nick Walker. That is a top 5 Olympian, no matter what. And that is simply based on the sheer muscle mass and the consistency in regards to bringing that top level of conditioning every single time he steps on stage. And I must say, you have got to agree with the mutant Nick Walker on this one. Other than the New York Pro last year, there hasn't been a single show where Nick Walker was off. And even last year at the New York Pro, Nick wasn't exactly off. So that is a very impressive track record for a guy who has been competing as a pro since 2020. So this is gonna be one hell of an interesting year for Nick Walker, and possibly for Bob Ciccarello as well, who has offered peace, but it takes time for this kind of controversy to die down, to go away.
Place anywhere but 8th place, and we'll use that as, I see he puts that in his hashtags now. So listen, he does have a sense of humor. He can take it. He's a big boy, just like he said, right? That's fine. Steak dinner on me, Nick, if you win your next show. Okay, we can chat it up and all that, and we'll have Sean there, and then I'll just make sure that I'm in the bathroom, Sean, when the check comes.
So Derek Lunsford, your reigning Arnold champion this year, released more of that hotel room footage, hours out of hitting the stage at this past Arnold. And I must say, this is that type of conditioning which should worry all the top Olympia competitors, all the Olympia title contenders. Now one can only imagine how crazy shredded and ripped Derek would have looked in person, as no camera can capture all the detail, all that grittiness. Now most of us were wondering, could Derek and Krizo be so good on their first time together that they beat his best ever previous version, the 2023 Olympia look? Because that was also a great package that made him win the Olympia that year. And safe to say that they did beat that, and that too by quite some margin, by a mile. So the experts said that Derek will never have those shoulder striations. And here you can see them. So that is a good sign that maybe in the future, down the line, his chest and his shoulders, they can have more striations, more detail, more depth, and more quality. Now I know he cannot have striations like that of Hadi Chupan, but he can definitely improve. So one thing we can see after looking at this footage, that his physique progressed in all the right areas, and there isn't even one negative aspect to point out. From this footage, the quad stayed nice and full, with more detail than ever before. The detail in the side leg, that looked so damn awesome and so crazy that he was able to push a guy like Samson Dauda, who is so hard to beat and was so dominant in those side shots. The abs were also improved, and up to a point where he actually won the abs and thigh against Samson, and he was also showcasing his serratus. And everybody already know that he was just untouchable from the back. So nobody is gonna dare count out a guy like Derek for this upcoming Miss Olympia. Michael Krizo checks in at 8.5 weeks out of the mighty Pittsburgh Pro, weighing close to 290 pounds. Now that is the type of conditioning that you have to be in for 2 months out of the show. And for the first time since Michael Krizo turned pro, he has a different coach than Alexander, who by the way did a very good job with Krizo, especially at the Olympia last year, where Krizo was able to make top 7 in the world back in 2023. And nobody had a single complaint about his conditioning that he brought to that Miss Olympia stage. Although people did say that he was a bit on the flatter side, he wasn't full enough. So what can we all expect from Krizo for this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro, as he's returning after that shoulder surgery and after more than 1 year? So based on all the training updates that we have seen, it doesn't seem like that injury that has been causing any hindrance in his back training, and that is all what Michael has to worry about. We already know that the man is gonna be a monster from the front, just like always. Statistically speaking, Michael Krizo should land in the top 3 at this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. Because after Martin and Nick, he's the highest placing guy from the Olympiad 2023. Unless a guy like Andrew Jacked, he jumps into this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. So after Pittsburgh, Krizo is gonna do the New York Pro. And those two guys, Nick Walker and Martin, they are also gonna be there. So these two shows, they are like the warm-up shows for Krizo. So this year's Olympia lineup, that is gonna be absolutely insane. Just think about it. 3 of the guys who placed top 9 in 2023, Krizo, Regan, and Tonio, they are aiming to return to that big stage this year. So even those places from summer onwards, they are gonna be more competitive than ever. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. And smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.